They don't make them like this anymore. A statement that at face value is always a bit ridiculous, but like everything in life, it has some nuanced truth to it. I've said it myself, but always try and clarify exactly what about it would dictate such a declaration. The devil's in the details. Little Monsters is a kids movie that is sold as an adventure, family, comedy, and the type they rarely make today. For the simple reason that the time is long past where we understood that kids, through naive explorations, needed to understand that life would be filled with complexities. Monsters under the bed would never be real, but monsters in other forms are. And we told them stories from the innocents, Roger Rabbit, to the very chilling Return to Oz, but never hesitated on introducing a bit of fear. I'm glad to see Little Monsters getting a bit of resurgence with this Vestron release, because when it comes to gateway horror and mature films for kids, specifically those of an older generation, treating children with adult-like respect and responsibility is the thing we lost along the way. Little Monsters did all of this, alongside being a video store staple. So, let's review the movie, discuss why it is still important, and examine the scene that defines it for the kids in us all. I'm Lance Vlcek, and today we're going to be doing things a bit different. This is Scene Breakdown. Mr. Tyler Nichols recently explored his childhood with the dark and gritty 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, while Andrew Hatfield explored his passion for video games and horror with Mortal Kombat. And it got me thinking about an early game changer for me. Something that was, more in line with my age, yet touched on deeper themes. The misery of life and the yearning for more, filtered through a goofy monster sidekick and Kevin Arnold himself from the Wonder Years. Little Monsters came out at the tail end of the summer of 1989, with a limited theatrical release. And like many tales we've told here on JoBlo Horror Originals, it made its money and gained a cult following because of the home video market and the boom of the video store. Little Monsters has Brian, Fred Savage, alongside his brother Eric, Ben Savage, move from what I assume is Chicago to a new house in the burbs of Boston, and discover that not only are monsters real, but have been causing all sorts of mischief on children for as long as time has existed. And real quick, listen to my man Eric's accent.
No, you don't have to go. Mommy! No, Dad, don't! Look, Dad.
It feels like home. But why would such an obscure kids movie mean so much to me? Well, because it's apparent that kids don't regularly get these types of stories like we once did. Oddly enough, the intelligence of children in terms of storytelling was respected. They didn't hold our hand.
Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the Store tab on any of our JoBlo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some.
Maurice, played by Howie Mandel, is a zany, ultra-hyper character that feels like if Beetlejuice and Robin Williams' Genie had a baby. A fun little adventure any kid could get into. Who wouldn't want to traverse in a monster world, having the time of your life? Eating junk food, breaking shit, and just living out any and all youthful impulses. Only this is also filled with dark imagery, genuinely creepy monsters, and a human plot about regret, falling out of love, and the need for friendship. But these elements are finally mixed with Maurice being the fun comic relief, while Brian makes his first friend in this strange new world. All set against the backdrop of his parents Glenn, Daniel Stern, and Holly, Margaret Whitten, struggling with their crumbling marriage and midlife regrets. We can have a scene where Brian and Maurice are framing a little girl for putting chocolate handprints on the fridge, then jump to Eric begging that he can be good,
I'll be better,
so his dad doesn't move out. We understood that these adult problems are the things kids could, and that some would face. Linklater said something recently that stuck with me. They didn't cater to kids. Now it's all about kids. And yeah, maybe they didn't care about us, but to me that's more respectful than what we do now. We used to adventure, leave the house on your bike, meet up with friends, and just that, adventure. Little Monsters has the heart of that feeling. Brian gets to eat a smorgasbord of treats, play pinball, and get payback on his bully. There's a moment of kid-like wonder in the exploration of this new world, while on the other side, the one he calls home, is filled with loneliness. Brian bonds with Maurice as a new kid in need of a best friend. Whimsical yet mature, their relationship is steeped in kids' fantasy, underlined with the need for connection. Alongside this, he gets close with Kirsten, played by Amber Baradio, who won the part actually over Daniel Harris. A little trivia there for you. And the fantasy of every little kid has on getting revenge on the school bully, which is Ronnie, McAllister's dick older brother Buzz, replacing his apple juice with piss. I'm Desmond levels of satisfied. Even the line,
man's best friend, his right hand.
A crude sex joke nestled in here like a newborn baby. Now listen, does Maurice get a bit annoying watching this as an adult? Sure. But that's not the fault of Howie Mandel. The man's doing his job. But I can still see, and if I try real hard, I can almost catch the feeling of life on a whim. The laughter at lunch, sneaking out at night, making friends that you may never see again. Though Maurice is, goofy and fun, we have real threats. Rick Dukeman's Snick, his jagged teeth, loose cigarettes, and hunchback. Abusive, angry, and someone you'd avoid at all costs. Then we have the terrifying Boy, a bang-up job by Frank Whaley. The human skin pulled over his monstrous face, alongside his, there's candy in the van attitude. I'm arguing he is still creepy to this day. Add to that the kidnapping of Brian's younger brother. They went hard here. These two monsters represent two types of real-world evil that kids may encounter. The physically violent drunk, represented by Snick. He breaks Maurice's horn, gives him a black eye. This is someone's dad, someone's uncle. And then the kid at heart, sexual abuser in Boy. One upfront and aggressive, the other emotionally manipulative and far more sinister. These dudes alone would push this into an older audience category, but we didn't. There was a time where kids needed to know and see this type of wickedness and understand.
The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows.
There's a quote by some author with a stud name, a G.K. Chesterton, that sums up something we've lost in children's tales. The necessity of keeping the essence of life real. Fairy tales do not tell children that dragons exist. Children already know dragons exist. Fairy tales tell children that dragons can be killed. Boy and Snick are the dragons, and they can be killed. Maurice comes in for the save with a flamethrower.
You're goddamn right.
And oddly enough, the writers Terry and Ted hated the final product, which went darker and more mature than they had originally planned. And thank Christ, Greenberg was wise enough to see the potential, which brings me to the defining scene. Little Monsters is one of the most clever representations of real childhood I've ever seen, set alongside whimsical and fantasy elements. It's not the most ideal, but I think a lot of us can at least partially relate to wanting to belong, making friends, acknowledging and experiencing the dangers of the real world, a first crush, even down to the darker themes of an unstable home, parents arguing about their sexless marriage.
That's all you want from me, my paycheck.
Well, that's not all I want from you, that's all I get.
Feeling like an outsider in your own house, and of course, saying goodbye. After the dragon is killed, which here goes by Snick and Boy, time is running out. Brian and company must escape or they'll be stuck in the monster world forever. As the doors begin to close, they make it all the way to California in the nick of time, saved by a bum sleeping on a beach. The effects of the underworld are changing him, and even with the promise of things not being permanent, he knows. It doesn't matter because the adventure is over. This entire experience represents childhood and its eventual end. All the wild fun he had was, and it always is, time and place. That is childhood, and it is time to let go. Brian went from sassy kid to dragon slayer. He got his first girl, friends my ass, and saved his little brother's life. Maurice is the embodiment of boyhood, and it's here Brian must say goodbye. You see, in real life, we don't get a swan song. Just one day, we ride our bikes away to never see those friends again. A crush that just moves away. No longer staying up all night playing GoldenEye. Brian is just lucky enough, story-wise, to have his closure. Where there's a bed, there's a way. And that becomes your memory. That's your bed, your way back. Because time marches on. And what better place to symbolize this, set to one of the greatest ending songs, than the ocean. Brian is now changed.
Seems like the world is moving on. Didn't stop to look around. Didn't give a shit if you're crashing down. You can close your eyes but not your skin. Don't believe what you refuse to see. Won't find a way in. Well, I can't ignore a certain fate. The result of people fighting every day. Try it and you'll find that it will lead you right, the picture right, and leave you